Hello and welcome to Rob from the Internet Talks About Beer, a show where we discuss different styles of beer, beer history, beer flavor profiles. We give shout outs to breweries we think make exceptional beer, and we talk about whatever else comes to mind during the course of the conversation. I'm Rob, and if you like this style of entertainment that I'm putting out there, I'd appreciate if you'd like the video, maybe subscribe to the channel, maybe tell your friends, because we've all got friends that need to know more about beer. Without further ado, let's get this episode started. Today, I am joined by Derrick, and I'm probably going to butcher your last name. Is it Langeneckert? Oh, I forgot to unmute you. Oh, rookie move. Rookie move.
There you go.
Sorry.
It's all good.
So, how do you pronounce your last name, Derrick?
Langeneckert.
Okay, so yeah, I guess I didn't butcher it too terribly. And
No, it wasn't too bad.
And you are with Alpha Brewing in St. Louis, correct?
That's
All
right.
right. So, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into the world of craft beer.
Sure. I have a background in science. Have a master's in biology. So I really approach science from that sort of, or approach brewing from the scientific side of things. I actually started I was an assistant brewer at a local brewery here before I was encouraged to start home brewing. So yeah, more lab stuff, more analytical stuff, I think is my strength.
And how long have you been in the world of science and beer?
Sure. Well, I'm only 36, so most of my adult life. Alpha Brewing Company will have its 10th anniversary on April 10th this year.
Nice.
So I started the company when I was 26, or we opened our doors when I was 26. We started the company when I was 25.
You're much more of a go-getter than I am.
Well, I was working at this brewery. My wife was in grad school too at the time, and she's, overachiever type person. Um, she was she was working at a law firm, and I didn't want to I didn't want to work, and she told me you got to go get a job. So I thought, well, bartending sounds fun. I'll go get a bartending job, and I went into this place called Square One, and their brewer, John Whitty, he's actually a veterinarian by training. So the hiring manager was like, well, we don't have any bartender job, but maybe you want to talk to this guy. Seems like you guys would really, your personality seemed to mesh up or whatever. Oh boy, my rookie mistake is I didn't charge my phone before this thing.
Oh no.
It just told me I'm at 20%. Of course.
Talk
Genius
fast,
level.
talk fast.
Yeah, right. So I got this assistant brewer's job there, which, wasn't anything fancy. He was teaching me how to use the commercial brewing equipment. I was washing kegging stuff, cleaning tanks. But it all seemed kind of natural because I did all this sort of stuff, in chem lab before or in biology lab, like enzyme assays. We did stuff with that, which is basically a mash.
Yep.
Because you're using the amylase enzyme there for conversion of starch into sugars. So it just really made a lot of sense. And after about a year working there, I decided, well, I think I can do this. And so got a group of family and friends together, and we opened the original Alpha Brewing Company in downtown St. Louis in this little tiny. It was in an alley. It was 2,300 square feet or something like that, with no kitchen, 10 taps, and a little 2-barrel system. And 5 years later, immediately after we opened, it was not possible to keep up with any sort of production, even though we didn't distribute, 2 barrels. 2 barrels is only 4 kegs.
Right. That's only 4 kegs. So
yeah, it's not going to get you too much of anything. So we did invest in a couple 5-barrel tanks, but it wasn't enough. And but trying to find a location for a brewery is a lot more difficult than I think you'd think. You need tall ceilings, you need loading docks, you need no basement, for instance, steel structure, concrete. Not just a concrete floor, but a 4-inch concrete floor, so you can set tanks on it and it won't crack it.
yep.
You also want a parking lot, which sounds like, oh, cool, just buy a warehouse, and I see that a lot. But the issue I saw with those and why I didn't want to do it was because you have to drive back into some industrial court
Yes.
to get to that brewery, and there's dozens of them all over the place I've been to, but I wanted it to be in the middle of a neighborhood. so we can get the neighborhood vibe going on.
Yep.
And it took us about 3 years to find the location that we're at now. It's right. It's just perfect. It's right on the edge of a great neighborhood that has a really great public park called Tower Grove, and right across the street's houses. Behind us is more of an industrial area, so we're just like right on the edge,
Nice.
and it really worked out well. It encompasses 3 buildings. Two of them we combined into making the tap room, and then which is about total. The tap room is about 4,000 square feet,
That's big.
including well, it doesn't feel very big. Uh, we have a kitchen, a private event space that's about 1,000 square feet. There's about 1,800 square feet for the bar, seating for 99, according to the fire department. Right, a beer patio that is about 6,000 square feet. Also seats about 100 though, just because we worked with the Missouri Botanical Gardens. A couple of the groundskeepers there became regulars, and we were talking about planting some something something. We were working with a consultant, and these guys were like, "What? No, please, can we just come up here and plant this beer garden?" So they actually planted like native plants in our beer garden. It looks really
That's
good,
awesome.
and it's all native stuff, which is great. So it comes back every year, and yeah, it's a garden though. It's not like a rock pit
Right.
with picnic tables in it, which I really enjoy. And there's like butterflies and bees and stuff in it all summer. Really dog friendly. And then next to that building is just a square building with a 16-foot ceiling. It's 100 feet by 100 feet, so it's 10,000 square feet in there. And we have a walk-in in there. That's the size of our original place downtown. Now,
That's cool. Yeah, my wife and I, when I first moved to Canada, my wife and I were considering opening a brewery. And you're right, trying to find a good space is hard, especially like most places. I don't know what the zoning laws are in St. Louis area, but up here in Ontario, at least in the town that I'm in, they want all the breweries in industrial spaces because they're technically considered manufacturing. And
yeah,
it's like, okay, but I want clientele that are not going to necessarily want to drive into some sketchy industrial park in the middle of the night when they
right.
want to come for beers. And we
Yeah.
fought for about 6 months and finally got the city to give us clearance to actually open it in a downtown location. We have a college here in our downtown, and we wanted to open near the college so that we could get all that natural foot traffic from the college students. We didn't end up opening a brewery, and because we kind of saw all the expenses, and then we kind of it was like right before COVID hit, and we were like,
Oh,
oh,
lucky you.
do we want to try and open a brewery with all the stuff that's starting to go on right now? So we decided not to, and I think it was a good idea. So um, I just scaled back the system that I was going to buy, and I put a 1 barrel system in my garage. So
There you go. That's a lot of beer for a homebrewer, man. Seriously.
it is. I tend to do half barrel batches on it, but I've got we like to entertain, and we tried it. We it's been hard with COVID last few years, but we like to have like barbecues like all the time and have all our friends and neighbors over. So it's always nice just to
Sure.
be able to have a big whack of beer on tap that's mine, along with whatever else we happen to have.
Sure.
So what is your signature beer, and what are your main styles of beer that you guys brew?
Um, our flagship, we haven't quite landed on one quite yet. We have two or three maybe. We have a Belgian blonde, just an easy Belgian blonde called Filer Flyer. The can has uh, and I guess you're going to clip this together later,
Well,
or is this live?
this is no, it's not live, but I will do a little. I'll do some light editing later. Yeah,
Okay, I can send you some pictures of the cans
excellent.
if you'd like. We have one called Filer Flyer. It's Belgian blonde, 5%, 20 IBUs, real easy drinking, and it's the can's a radio flyer, like a red wagon.
Nice.
And the street that the brewery's on is called Filer, Fyler. So that's kind of where it came up with that. And then we have one called Divine Intervention, which is a blood orange blonde,
Nice.
and it's also really easy drinking. It was a collab we did with a local band, and I thought it was going to be a once off, but it was really popular, so we just kept making it. Um, I would call those like our normal beers. We kind of have two lines. We have a line called the Funk series, and all of those are photo aged fruited sours.
Now you're talking my language, my friend.
There you go. Maybe I should send you some yeast samples.
There you go. Yeast samples.
So we got 3 foeders from. There's a company called, was it Foeder Crafters, and I think there might, or when we bought these foeders, they're the only company in the country making foeders. And we're in Missouri, which is the barrel stave capital of the world. So there's a lot of good timber here for those sort of things. We have 2 30 barrels and a 15 barrel foeder.
Nice.
Foeders, yeah. And we use those. We brew into them Solera method. So
Yep.
Our brew house is 15 barrels. 2 of the tanks are 30s, and then we have a 15. So we take half a batch out, transfer it into a stainless tank, and add fruit, and then brew fresh wort back into it. And it's great because we never have to repitch. It always fires right back up. One of them has a lacto Brett strain in it that I cultured out of a rosé wine barrel back in 2014.
Awesome.
And the other 40 barrel tank just has Britannomyces.
Is that your brewing assistant?
Yeah. And the other one has just a Brett what'd you call it, mixed, a couple different Brett strains in it. So, it kind of gives us the options that if we get a fruit in, and it changes an awful lot depending on the season, depending on kind of what, we use Oregon fruits a lot, or aseptic purees now in these 15 barrel batches. It's, in the old days when we were brewing on 2 barrel system, I'd go down to the fruit market and get 100 cantaloupes and we chop them up. It's just not feasible anymore.
That's not a tenable solution when you're above 2 barrels.
When we first moved to this place, I went down and I was just like, well, 2 barrels, 15, so 7 times more fruit. And I got strawberries, and it was, I don't know, 80 cases or something of strawberries. And me and one of the partners sat there and took all the green stems off of all of them. And it was like 2 whole days, and I'm like, no more. We're going to find another solution to this problem.
It's called neighbor kids.
Yeah, I wish. So it just kind of depends on the fruit we can get in. These companies, they seem to have the ability to get all sorts of weird stuff in. So we had a opportunity last fall to use dragon fruit.
Nice.
And that was a really delicious beer. And the coloring was dark purple. Haven't been able to get that back in stock. But so what I'm saying is we have 2 foeders, one with this Brett in it and the other one with this lacto Brett strain in it. So when we have the opportunity to get some interesting fruit, we can kind of pick and choose. The dragon fruit was really sour, so you wouldn't want to use the lacto Brett cultured foeder for the dragon fruit, particularly because it might be too sour.
Right.
So use the Brett one instead, and you use the beer to complement the fruit, really.
Cool. So you said you use a Solera method. Are you guys using an actual Solera method or a modified Solera method? Like, because a traditional Solera method, you have like a minimum of 3 levels that you do. You have your new stuff, then your slightly older stuff, and then the oldest stuff, or 3 or more levels actually. So, and hey, you just went black.
I gotta put me on power save mode. Maybe it'll last a little bit longer.
Gotcha. Okay. But so I was just because I
heard you.
I love Solera style beers. I mean, I buy one from New Holland Brewing in Michigan that's called Solera, which is an old school Solera method where they have, I think they use, if I remember correctly, they use a 5-tier system for their Solera system.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's great for consistency. It's great for, like you said, never having to repitch because it's always ready to go. And then the other one, the most famous Solera one that I buy that most people don't really realize is a Solera style is Sam Adams Utopias.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, I have only had the privilege of getting one Sam Adams Utopias.
See, I have
like a 2015 maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I have friends that live literally within 30 minutes of the brewery, so every time it comes out, they're like, "Hey, it's out. You want it?" Yes. I have a 2017, a 2019, and a 2021 up in my liquor cabinet right now.
Man, must be nice being rich.
Yeah. Well, I did have a life before I started home brewing and doing podcast stuff here. I used to be the CIO for a medical corporation, so I made my money and originally I was set to retire and open a brewery, which isn't really retiring. And then we didn't open the brewery, and my wife's like, "Well, you can't just be retired because I'm not ready to be retired." So then I had to go back
Uh-huh.
and find a job.
Well, cool. That works out good.
Yeah, so there's no real pressure. So any job I have is just like whatever job I want.
That's nice.
Yep. But so
So to answer your question, it kind of depends. Um, we we transfer out of those foeders into a variety of different tanks. We
okay.
have three different sizes. We have a 15 barrel, and they're square stainless totes. And we use the square totes instead of like a conical tank because when you put the fruit in there, it actually gives a good surface area
Oh
on the
yeah,
bottom
that
for the
makes sense. Yep.
yeah. So we have a couple. Let's see, what will they be like a couple 7 barrels, a couple 11 barrels, and then a couple 15 barrels.
Okay. So that's a
So
decent.
so sometimes we'll do something like pull half and half out of each one of the foeders to fill a 15 barrel tank and then fill them back up, but it would only be like 25%.
Yep.
And then the next time we'll take 15 barrels out. So not traditional like
Yeah. So it's like a hybrid Solaris system, but still, that's absolutely fantastic. I mean, it,
oh
it helped. Like I said, it helps it keeps consistency on the stuff that you're pulling out of the foeder, and two, it makes it easier on you guys in the long run.
for sure.
So, what is your main focus, I guess, for styles of beer? You said you have the two different blondes. Is that Belgian blondes? Is that your main focus? Is Belgian style beers,
Um
or is that just
well
two that you really that are really good?
well you kind of got to the brewer I worked at Square One. He always said that you got to brew the beers you got to brew so you can brew the beers you want to brew.
Yep.
And so that's kind of, we sell a lot of both of those blonde ales. They're really popular at the tap room, and they keep people there for sure. The fruited sours are more adventurous for
Yep.
sure, and they appeal to more, the craft beer aficionado type guy.
The geeks
But
and nerds like me. Yeah.
yeah, well, you need all of them, and we're really trying to keep prices at a reasonable level. So we're still selling these fruited sours for $7 or $8 a glass.
Okay.
Um, but those two blonde ales both go for 5 or 6, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's not uncommon. A lot of the breweries that I go to, they have tiered pricing for their beers depending on how much the ingredients cost, how long it takes to make them, and things like that. So it's not uncommon for that. And $7 or $8 for a quality glass of a fruited sour or a photo aged beer is not unreasonable by any stretch of the means.
I don't think so. You know what? I'm wondering.
You're trying to find a
I
power
have
outlet, aren't you?
a well, these headphones plug into this thing. So if I unplug the headphones,
Oh yeah, I got you. I got you.
but I have a wireless charger, so I'm wondering if I can just hold them together
Oh,
and
you should be able to. Yeah.
it'll do what it's supposed to do.
Meanwhile, we get a tour of your house.
Yeah, I only live 8 blocks down from the brewery, so it's
Oh, that's nice.
really
Do you
really
walk to
convenient for
work
work.
or do you drive to work?
Uh, I drive because I'm lazy.
Hey
Well, I
man.
definitely drove today. It's like freezing cold outside. In the summertime, sometimes we ride our bikes up there.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I would do that too for sure. I mean, 8 blocks is not that far, but it can be when it's really cold or if it's raining and things like that. So I get it.
All right, there we go.
Did you get yourself charging again?
Yeah,
Excellent,
cool.
excellent. So, do you guys make say like a porter or a stout or anything like that, or is it?
Oh, definitely. So year round, the Belgian blonde, the blood orange blonde, we have an oatmeal stout called Believer's Brew, a Belgian style brown ale,
Nice.
and a tangerine IPA are pretty much our year round soft, uh, regular commodity beer type offerings. We have two barrel aged sours that we've been doing since the very beginning. One is a sour blonde ale aged in Chardonnay barrels, and the other one is a sour black ale aged in Pinot Noir barrels.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
Um, we used to do a whole bunch of barrel aged sours, and frankly, that style seems to be falling off. I think.
Yeah, I think I think in general I've noticed a trend that barrel aged beers as a whole have kind of started to decline again, and it's a cyclical thing. They'll go down in popularity for a few years and then they'll be back.
It's always funny. Just the people I see at the bar. It's interacting with consumers. It's really funny to me because you'll talk to a guy who's like, "Man, black IPAs. When are those going to come back?" Or there was a fad in St. Louis. Maybe I thought it was everywhere, but there's black
Oh
IPAs.
no,
There was like
it wasn't just St. Louis.
there's red ales and amber ales. Everyone had to have one of those.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and then of course the 12%, 12,000 IBU
yeah,
IPA.
yeah. No thanks. I mean, you
And
had
then
me
for
at 12%, and you lost me at that IBU number. Yeah, no thanks. I'm one of the. Uh, this comes up a lot in my conversations with beer people. They're always like, "Oh, what style of beers do you like?" And I name them off, and like, "Oh, you didn't say IPA," and I'm like, "No," because I'm very persnickety about my IPAs. I love
uh-huh,
I love a good traditional English IPA with that heavy malt backbone with just
uh-huh.
a little bit of bitter punch at the end, or comes in at the middle and lingers to the end. I don't need
Hmm.
something that's a hot bomb. I don't need something that's so bitter that it reminds me of ex-girlfriends, things like that. So, and
Right?
I've often been quoted as saying that hazy IPAs are not IPAs. They're the IPAs for people who don't like IPAs.
Sure.
And West Coast
Well,
are just too damn bitter for my taste.
hmm. I mean, those are like the traditional American
Yeah.
IPAs, the West Coast, like Torpedo maybe from Sierra Nevada,
Yeah,
or
that's exactly
something
it.
from Stone.
Yeah, Stone, yeah, like Stone, yeah, and what's uh I guess arrogant bastard wasn't really an IPA. It was just a
Just a brown ale dry hop with Simcoe, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, just a dry hop brown ale, yeah. But yeah, I'm there's very few American pale ales that I like. There's one by Three Floyds called Alpha King that I do enjoy.
Hmm.
Um and then Zombie Dust is another one of theirs that I enjoy on occasion. It's not something like I couldn't drink one every day, but once or twice a year, if someone goes, "Hey, I've got one of these," I'll be like, "Yeah, okay, I'll drink that." But
Gumball Head's pretty good
yeah,
too.
Gumball Head's not bad, and I love the can art for that one too.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty close to us. Well, Chicago from St. Louis.
They're Indiana, man. Come on,
Yeah,
come
well,
on.
yeah. I'm gonna get a whole bunch of hate
That's
tweets
right. You're
now.
gonna get a bunch of people going, "Hey, we're not from Chicago."
Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
I get it. I mean, I grew up in Rockford, Illinois, and it was just easier for me to tell people I was from the Chicago area because
Uh
nobody knows where Rockford, Illinois is. But they're like, "Well, where exactly in the Chicago area?" Well, about an hour northwest of Chicago.
huh.
So yeah, I get it. I get it. Yeah, people just generalize. Yeah, it's the Chicago area, and to be fair, a lot of their clientele are probably in the Chicago area.
Sure.
But okay, if people are wanting to visit you, where's your brewery at and your tap room?
Sure. It's located in the Tower Grove South neighborhood in St. Louis. We have a tap room and a kitchen. Like I said, we have a big patio. So when it gets warm outside, uh, that's always packed. We usually do live music out there. Friday, Saturday, Sundays. Maybe in the summertime we'll add back. We used to do Wednesday and Thursday as well, but freezing cold outside, no one wants to come out. Or I should say, less people are coming out to patronize the bar in January.
Yeah, I get it.
And this ridiculous thing called Dry January, I don't even know.
Yeah, no, we do moist January.
Right.
We just try and curb our drinking a little bit, but it's moderately to not successful at all.
uh, yes, the tap room kitchen is open 2 to 10 every day of the week. We have a private event space that you can rent out. We have 20 beers on tap, or we have 20 taps, I should say. We do a hard seltzer. That brand is called Pretty Pleasy. we have I don't know, maybe 10 different flavors of that we can. We have a variety pack of that too.
Nice.
You know, appealing to different markets there.
Yep.
We also do draft cocktails on tap, um, to appeal to more larger groups there, and it kind of goes hand in hand with. So we're working on opening a distillery
Oh, nice.
just a couple miles down the road. That should hopefully be open in September.
Man, it's sounding more and more like I gotta get my ass to St. Louis.
It's a pretty good beer town, especially for how big, how much population we have, how many breweries we have.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I learned about you guys from a Twitter friend of mine, Brian.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Drink 314.
314. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He's the one who told me about you guys and suggested I try and get you on the show. And
totally.
he's a big fan, so you know. But
Yeah, I just saw him down there a couple days ago.
what about on the socials? Where can people find you guys on the socials?
All of them are at Alpha Brewing Co.
There you go.
So Instagram, Twitter. We're on LinkedIn if you want to friend us on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Oh yeah.
Hey man, LinkedIn's probably the best social media site I've ever been on because there's no trolling on there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
It's all professional people.
I spend most of my time these days on Mastodon just for the same reason. It doesn't have all the drama that's over on Twitter, and it's not just a bunch of people trying to sell you things like I find on Instagram and things like that. So.
Yeah, yeah. New hand lotion and hair cream and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. How many different types of razors do you think I need? And
I know, and they all got clever names too.
yeah, yeah, yep, yep. All right, so one more thing, Derek. If you had to
Sure.
choose your favorite style of beer, not necessarily something you brew, not necessarily something that you guys serve at your place, what is your personal favorite style of beer?
Well, I'll tell you, and you're gonna laugh. Definitely a blonde ale. Every time we go somewhere, go on a little trip. We were just in Virginia, actually. We're just up in the mountains in Appalachia. We went to a couple breweries. I always order the blonde ale first because it tells you a lot about what they're doing at their
It's
place.
hard to hide mistakes there.
Yeah, yeah. You know, if you walk into a place and every single beer has 25 spices in it, and it's double super dry hop with lactose, and they don't have a blonde ale. I mean, it's you know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it. I do the same thing. Like, I always if I go to a new brewery, I will find whatever their basic lager is. I will find or a pilsner if they happen to have a pilsner of some sort. I will do
Sure.
if they have a standard stout or a standard porter, things like that. Things that are a little bit harder to hide all your mistakes because it's real easy. Like in a barrel aged chocolate marshmallow graham cracker caramel stout, it's real easy to hide
Uh-huh.
your mistakes. Just the same thing like
Right.
like in a hazy IPA that's got all those fruity flavors and everything. It's real easy to hide mistakes, but you can't hide something in a pilsner.
Right. Right. And I honestly I enjoy them. We we drink a lot in my house, and I it used to be fun to go get some 19% stout or whatever, but it's a night ender, and I'd rather have like 4 or 5 beers than have one, and then I got to go to
I
bed.
feel called out. I drink 4 or 5 19%ers in a session. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you opening up those bomber
Yeah,
bottles still?
they're getting harder and harder to find. A lot of the breweries up here have switched down from the 750 mil bottles down to like the 500 mil bottles. So
So have we.
yeah, and it makes sense. And then even now the trend, like in the last 6 months, the trend is even get rid of the 500 mil bottles, just go to either 16-ounce cans or even 12-ounce cans of the higher ABV stuff. Because I mean, and it makes sense because not everybody's like me who can sit down with a 750 mil bottle of a double digit ABV and be like, okay, what are we drinking after this?
Well, we used to do our Russian Imperial Stouts. We do two. One's called Muscovy, and it's just your typical Russian Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels. Usually comes out around 13 or 14%. And we do another rendition of that one in the summertime called Better Days, and it has cinnamon in it, so it's slightly cinnamon. We used to do both of those in 750s, and then last year we switched the Better Days to 16-ounce cans, and I think for consumers they didn't want to spend $8 on one can,
Yeah.
so they really didn't go over that well. We switched Better Days into 500 ml bottles, and it sold a lot better. So maybe just the glass feels like it's heavy enough to be worth. Actually, we did $10. Yeah, we were looking for $9.99 from those bottles of Better Day. So people are willing to pay $2 more for the bottle, which
Well, there's a bit of I guess it's a bias. People think that higher ABV beers need to be in bottles to make it worth it. I guess I don't know.
maybe
It's one of those things because like I found that like places they'll offer things in bottles that would really probably benefit being in a can, especially like I said, the double digit stuff, a lot of it could be sold in like a 12-ounce can, which is 355 milliliters here in
sure you're right.
Canada. Because then like you said, it's not a night ender. Okay, you're having a 12-ounce. Well, if you split that with a friend, if it's say a 13 or 14%, that's a 6-ounce pour. So that's like that's like a flight style glass or a little larger than a flight style glass. And
Sure,
then you've still got a little bit of headroom there to switch back to other beers and things like that without feeling like, oh my
sure,
god, I'm totally wasted. I mean,
right.
unless you're like me and you put the fun in functional alcoholic and you drink a 750 ml bottle on your own.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to do it though, I want to drink more than one, So it's like it seems to be this whole pressure thing where you get a couple of these bottles, then you got to save them for when we get together with that group of people who like this sort of stuff, and then you forget to bring them. It's
Yeah,
like it's sitting in my fridge for so long. I don't know. I think I kind of gave up, or I just drink a glass of whiskey. It'd be a much
yeah.
easier.
Well, yeah, I do that as well. I love my Irish whiskey and my Scotch. So.
Definitely.
But yeah, I do love a good barrel aged stout, but I can appreciate the lower ABV ones as well. Like because in our household, it's just my wife and I, and I'm the one who likes the big heavy hitting beers, and she's not a huge fan. She'll take a sip or two off of whatever I pour, but for the most part, if I could get stouts and porters that are in the 4, 5, 6% range, my wife would drink a lot more of them.
Definitely.
So.
Our standard stout that we put out all the time, called Believer's Brew, is only
Yeah,
6.
that's perfectly acceptable stout level. I mean,
And then we do some fun variations with it. So last year for Thanksgiving, we always put out a specialty stout for Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. And this year we aged it in some local whiskey barrels, Pinckney Bend Distillery. We got a couple barrels from them, aged a small batch of that in there, and then worked with a local flavor company to add like a Frangelico. What's Frangelico made out of?
it's an orange liqueur, isn't it?
Yeah, an orangey, caramely flavoring to it, and
Nice.
that went over really
I
well.
bet it did. Yeah, chocolate, orange, and caramel. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's it's like taking one of those Terry's oranges and putting it in liquid form.
right. Those are so great
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. Awesome, awesome. Well, man, one more time, if people are looking to find you guys on the socials, it's what?
Alpha Brewing Co.
Alpha Brewing Co. All right, and whereabouts in St. Louis are you?
Tower Grove Park
Tower
neighborhood.
Grove Park neighborhood. There you have it, folks. All right. Well, this is the part of the show where I say, hey, this is the end of the show.
There you
So
go.
if you've enjoyed this episode, if you've lasted this long through our rambling and everything, if you've enjoyed it, please like it, subscribe, tell your friends. Other than that, until next time, I'm Rob from the internet. Cheers.
Cheers.